When you play a Bison Sioux game, there was just so many fans there, and you just wanted to beat them so bad.
North Dakota was kind of ahead of their time as far as supporting women's athletics, and it was exciting.
Funding for this program is made possible by the members of Prairie Public.
Here come the Sioux. Oh, won't get it. Meyer, the rebound. And this crowd is so loud. You've got to be here to believe it.
What happened between 1991 and 1999 in a 70-mile stretch along I-29 remains unprecedented in the history of college athletics, as NDSU and UND would dominate Division II women's basketball on a national level. The rivalry was fierce, made more so by the two bigger-than-life coaches, Amy Ruley and Jean Roebuck.
Intensity is the word with those two. I mean, both of those coaches wanted to beat the other team so badly. They knew the importance of the game. To the public, they didn't come off to be the best of friends. In fact, a lot of the post-game handshakes were just, see you later.
There was that recognition that, hey, there's good Division II women's basketball happening in North Dakota. People appreciate it, they support it, they're out in full force for those games, and it really did bring a lot of pride, I think, to each university and to the community.
Basketball fans are basketball fans. You put a good product on the floor in women's basketball, and you're going to get the fans. And that's what we did. I mean, we had two very, very good teams that played very, very hard.
It's Katie Richards, 4-3 from the corner, 11 seconds in.
It was quite the rivalry. It was pretty fun, you know, for them in the stands having posters of Roebuck's head, you know, on their face, or vice versa with Amy. That just made it even better. You know, it just got both teams pumped up, and I don't think they despise or hate each other. I think it's just that competitive nature in coaching.
Coach really did a good job of that. Win your next game, win your next game, win your next game. And that's really all we talked about. And, you know, I think we'd had a lot of success in the past, so we weren't just focused on, oh gosh, we have to win, we have to win. But it's like we knew how to win.
It was full court man-to-man, and it was that you were just going to play defense, and you were going to hound, and you were just going to be there, and you were going to play as hard as you possibly can. And when you got tired, you were going to come out, and somebody else was going to come in. We really bought into that it was everybody, that it was all of us for one common goal, and it was about winning basketball games.
And the intensity of the rivalry filtered down to the players very quickly, whether they were from North Dakota or not.
Everybody talked about, wait till you go up to UND, and you know, wait till you go up to UND, and it's like, I didn't really get a grasp on it, but when you walk in there, and being in Hislop was just ridiculous because it feels like everybody's on top of you there. It was a little overwhelming, plus the fans were not that friendly, so it was like, wow, okay, I get it.
Coach Roebuck expected us to be there, you know, 2 hours or more before game time. I was walking up to the gym, and there were lines out the doors, and I was kind of shocked a little bit. The doors were all locked, and I was wondering how I was going to get in. People were lined up to get tickets, you know, 2 hours in advance, and I know just having a shoot-around, and we were shooting around in front of 1,000 people.
I started WDAZ in '82, and for many years, the Sioux Bison men's basketball game was the only game that got televised. The women's game was not televised until we had to televise it. People were filling the arena for the women's games even before the men's game section of the doubleheader.
Most years the teams would play 3 times, twice in the regular season and then often in the regionals, with a trip to the Elite Eight on the line. And both teams knew their enemy quite well.
It seemed like they never got tired. You know, they just never wore out, and they were just disciplined. You could always tell that. And yeah, just the full court press, the pressure all the time. But I think they were just a really disciplined team. I just remember they would set picks and picks and picks. I mean, they had 4 out, 1 in, and it was just constantly going through screens, and none of us were small girls, so it was a physical battle the whole time.
NDSU would make the first strides toward greatness in the 80s with superstar players like Pat Smykowski, coupled with Ruley's trademark up-tempo, pressing, fast break philosophy.
Our intentions were really just to try to create a competitive program. Recruiting obviously was local, and fortunately had a number of very talented women around the region who understood the importance of trying to play a more quality brand of basketball.
You know, I just loved to play. When I played basketball, it was fun. It wasn't a job. It wasn't something I dreaded doing.
With Smykowski, NDSU would make the 1986 national title game, losing to Cal Poly Pomona, and then reach the semifinals in 1988 before losing. But the program was heading in the right direction.
We brought it to a different level when it came to it wasn't no longer a 4 or 5 month season, it was a 12-month season, and we brought a competitiveness and a will to win that I think led to, or helped lead to some of the success that they had in the future.
Here comes Irie, she's got some room. Now dishes to Heisler for 3.
Meanwhile, the moment for UND that would change everything happened in 1987, when Roebuck left Lake Region College in Devils Lake to take the UND job. And he brought with him a tenacious guard named Doreen Heisler.
87, 88, 89, that's when I think women's basketball really took off. We had some outstanding games with NDSU, whether they were at our place, at the Hislop, or at their place.
Doreen for 3.
She's got great strength, and if she's left alone, she'll take that all day long.
With the likes of Heisler, Whitney Meyer, and Beth Irie, the first big showdowns for UND with NDSU with national implications happened during the 1990 season.
You have those games where you're on the good side, and you have those games where you're on the lopsided side, and that game, UND just couldn't do many things wrong.
UND would go on to lose in the Elite Eight to Cal Poly Pomona, but like NDSU, the table was set for the decade.
Here's Nadine Schmidt.
Led by sophomores Nadine Schmidt and Jody Buck, 1991 would be different, marked by a regular season win by the Bison over the Sioux, 86-75 in Grand Forks, when UND was ranked #1 in the nation. The catalyst for the 91 Bison women was that crushing 90-58 loss to UND in the 1990 regionals.
Last year we had the 2 losses here, and we wanted to come in this year and show them that we weren't afraid of Hislop and we knew we could take them.
In our freshman year when we got beat in the playoffs, that was probably the biggest eye-opening loss of my career. Turned everything around for me.
I can remember that game like yesterday. I mean, they just took it to us, and they just deserved to win that game, but they really blew us out. And I remember after that, Nadine and I talked, and we were like, this is never happening again. We're not going to let this happen. And I think that motivated us to be successful after that.
The Bison women would avenge the 1990 region loss by beating the Sioux in the 1991 region final.
The young but experienced herd defeated host Southeast Missouri State University.
Then it would be on to the Nationals, where NDSU would win their first national title over Southeast Missouri State, 81-74.
National championship in Division II women's basketball belongs to the Bison of North Dakota State.
It was really a fun first national championship to be on the road, and you know that creates a different environment too. You're all together, and we had a good number of fans that traveled there to support us. Buses went, families went, and so it really was a very exciting time, and it just whet our appetite for more of those kind of opportunities.
It was overwhelming, and we had a great following. The whole experience was phenomenal, and we had come together and overcome some things that year as a team, and winning that was just icing on the cake.
It was awesome, yeah, to beat that team that was favored to win it and on their home court. They were a very intense, up-tempo team. We kind of had to adjust our style a little bit for them, and we did, and we ended up coming on top.
Bison with 6 wins in a row coming in here. And there's 3 for Jody Buck.
One of the more memorable Bison-Sioux games of the 90s happened the next season in 1992 in Grand Forks, when a controversial ending gave NDSU the victory.
Up for 3, short. Peterson battles after with Oysted. They foul on Oysted. 5 seconds left.
I don't like it.
1-1 for Peterson.
This is the ball game.
Tie game. A chance to put the Bison up by 1.
Do they pressure the ball? Yes.
3 seconds. Here's Pudens. They've got to hurry. Oysted turns and shoots. Short. Bison win it.
But despite fielding quality teams again and even beating NDSU 62-56 in a memorable 1993 game, UND would fail to make the region finals in 92 and 93, and NDSU would qualify for nationals again. The 92 Bison team was perhaps even better than the 91 edition, as sophomore Darcy Steer became a star and highly touted freshman Lynette Mund grew up fast.
Even the very first day that I played, I came in and Nadine Schmidt, I remember, I'll never forget it, I drove in the lane and she'd stole the ball from me, and before I knew it they were shooting a layup on the other end, and I was like, whoa, this is the big time.
A furious second-half rally by North Dakota State fell 2 points short, with Delta State University posting a 65-63 victory over the Bison before an NCAA division.
That loss still kind of makes me ill thinking about it. It was tough, not only because we lost, but because we were on our home court, got upset by 1 or 2 points. The way we lost, we just didn't perform that night.
10 seconds on the shot clock, stolen away. Here's Mund for the Bison. Putin's going in, and
The Bison would get their rematch with Delta in the 1993 national title game, and this time they would bring their A game, trouncing Delta 95-63.
We knew that was our goal, was to win that national championship that year after having that bad taste from the year before. And all the underclassmen, they just went along with us and wanted that goal as well. It was just the perfect game. Great way to end the career.
Well, it was a beautiful thing that we ended up playing them again for the seniors and whoever was on the team before. And I had no question in my mind that we weren't going to win that game.
Jody and Nadine were just fantastic leaders, and I have told Nadine that, you know, it was so great. They just welcomed, like I immediately had a family. I stepped on and boom, it was like they were going to take care of me. You know, you win that game, and then just to have that celebration time with first my teammates and then my family was it's unbelievable, and it's what drove me to make sure that it was going to happen the next year and the next year and the next year.
here comes Putins. Buck back, and it's short, but Kleinsasser cleans up.
In UND country, 1994 was supposed to be different. A truly dominant team with good guards and plenty of height, the Sioux rolled through the regular season undefeated and beat NDSU twice, now without their graduated leaders Buck and Schmidt. The focus of the 94 team was the dominant Sherry Kleinsasser, one of the best players in UND history.
She was just so good, and she was such a fun player to play against because she wasn't conceited, she just played hard, and you really had to respect that about her.
My junior year was, I still think, one of the best teams at UND. Just our chemistry. We just matched up really well with them.
Hosting an all-NCC regional at Hislop with NDSU, South Dakota State, and Augustana, UND was in the driver's seat in '94. But disaster struck in the semifinals against South Dakota State as the Jackrabbits shocked the Sioux and won by 10.
Well, I know I got in foul trouble early on, and coach always had a rule, you know, if you had 2 fouls, you sat out. So I was out most of the first half, and I still, yeah, that's an angst with me for sure. We just never got it going then, and it was just like, I don't know, it was like we got in slow motion and we got behind, and then it was just, I don't know how to even explain it. It was horrible.
NDSU cruised to its 4th straight regional title with a decisive...
The Bison would take advantage of UND's misfortune by beating Augustana in their semifinal and then beating SDSU to go on to nationals.
They lost to the Jackrabbits, and I couldn't have been happier about that. They probably were the better team, but that's why you play the game, and that's the way it works.
North Dakota State's toughest tourney test came in the quarterfinals against number 2 ranked Missouri Western.
NDSU got another big break by getting to host the Nationals at the Bison Sports Arena and beat Cal State San Bernardino 89-56 in the championship. Despite losing 5 games in '94 and not beating UND at all, NDSU had its 3rd title in 4 years.
My junior year, best team, I mean, clearly. And not just because we were undefeated, but like I said, it was just all the spots were filled, and then you'd have the backup who could start on a lot of other teams.
The '95 Bison would be one of the all-time great teams, going undefeated.
I credit our leadership of our upperclassmen and my staff to keeping our team really motivated and keeping them focused.
There was no stopping the Herd as they rolled over Portland State in the national title game 98-85.
You know, I think we'd had a lot of success in the past, so we weren't just, you know, focused on, oh gosh, we have to win, but it's like we knew how to win.
Not an empty seat in this house, folks.
No, it's kind of neat to be here and see that, Pat. They've brought in extra seating for tonight's game. This is Casey Moore.
The end of my junior year, that was probably some of the best basketball we'd ever played, and probably one of the best teams we had been on.
During the 1996 season, the Bison would stretch their win streak to 49 games before losing to Duluth.
And it comes off the Rodemaker for North Dakota State. Rodemaker pushing the ball up the floor, and it's going to count.
In 1996, the Bison would finally play a young and talented UND team in the region finals, with the Bison winning. The Sioux were getting closer and closer, but frustration was mounting in Grand Forks as the NDSU national titles piled up.
Amy's, in my opinion, the toughest coach I've ever coached against. She has a calm way of doing things, but she's still a very intense competitor, and I think with the talent she had, she got that talent to play well and play extremely well to win national championships. It was frustrating and it was rewarding. It was frustrating because you don't want to lose, you want to get to the national championship, but we were knocking at the door and our players were giving everything they had.
Feel like the knockout punch is on its way.
A fifth title in 6 years came NDSU's way with a 104-78 slaughter of Shippensburg, Pennsylvania in the national title game.
That was another very good basketball team, and although we did drop a couple games throughout the year, it was one where that momentum that we had established, we felt like we could continue to carry.
And for Jen Rodemaker and fellow senior Lori Roofs, they would live the dream with 4 national titles in their 4 years at NDSU.
Surreal and amazing, and honestly, looking back now, it was like, just no way. We had the perfect everything, perfect chemistry, perfect talent, perfect luck. Nobody got hurt. We never had a major injury in 4 years. So it's one of those things where, you know, I'm so thankful that I just got to be there at that snapshot in time.
Amy Ruley's 29-year coaching reign at NDSU stands as a beacon of success for the growth of women's basketball in our region. Her intensity and will to win rubbed off on her players, who were like family to her.
I probably get more credit than I deserve. I think parents deserve those credits and the quality of the kids. I think as a coach, you have a responsibility to make a commitment to them beyond just basketball and to try to help them.
She's awesome. You know, I think at the time, I think every year that goes by as you age, you have a greater respect for her. But we were better prepared for the teams that we played than I think the teams were. We knew their offenses, we knew their defenses. She was a warrior, she was a motivator.
I loved her attitude and her intensity, and she was just not in-your-face coach, but she would come and talk to you on a level that you could understand. It was mostly her intensity that I related to really well. It wasn't just lessons on the basketball court, but lessons about life, self-discipline, morals, character. We talked about that a lot.
Despite her retirement from coaching in 2008, Ruley remains at NDSU in the athletic department and has never regretted her decision to shun job offers and remain at NDSU.
We would tell them once a Bison, always a Bison, and that's true. They stay connected to the program, and we enjoy those relationships. So, you know, you appreciate that opportunity you have as a coach to touch them, hopefully in a positive way.
Morlock quickly down floor. She'll get an open layup.
Led by NDSU all-time leading scorer Casey Morlock, the 97 Bison were looking for a 6th national title in 7 years.
Dirk gets back. Morlock off the glass.
UND was getting closer and closer, but still couldn't get over the hump, losing twice in the regular season to the unbeaten Bison.
The frustration would be we would be up by 15 points and then they would come back and they would end up beating us. So we just never closed out a game with them.
But on a Sunday night in Fargo, the two teams met again in the region final. And it looked like more of the same as the Bison led 64-54 late in the second half, when Gene Roebuck called a timeout.
I recall calling a timeout. We're 10 down. I was telling them to get their heads up. I don't know how much time is left. I'm assuming about 5 minutes left on the clock. At that point, it's like, here we go again. We're close, but we're not going to get to where we want, and they're undefeated at that time.
This is it. Either we come out of this huddle and we figure things out, or we just might as well pack it up and be done.
I can remember that too, you know, coming over the loudspeaker that you can get your tickets, you can pick them up at the front. The game wasn't over with, and we knew that, and so, you know, we were going to do our best to get back in the game and try to win it.
And as often happens in sports, the good times can't last forever. And out of the timeout, led by Tiffany Pudence's game-high 32 points, the Sioux women would go on a shocking 19-2 run and win 73-66, altering the course of the rivalry.
The moment I remember at the end was when Jamie hit those free throws to kind of seal our lead in a win, because just 2 weeks prior to that, we'd lost to the Bison by Jamie missing those free throws.
You know, when we get so close and we had lost to them previous, and I missed those free throws, and you know, to me, I was a little embarrassed as well. I was just hoping for another chance. The first one certainly bounced around a little bit, but it did go in, and then the second one went in, so it was a great feeling.
That regional tournament, it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it, and what Tiffany Pudence did. She just looked at everyone and said, get on my back, we're not losing here.
I guess I'm a bad loser, so I was just sick of losing, so it was just like, we came into that game and just said, what is there to lose? This time it was just something that we had to do.
We sure had a great year, and I think we've represented the university real well and themselves personally really well, and I wouldn't want any other team than the one we came in here with today, and I'm proud to be their coach.
They went on this big run, and I think that we couldn't stop them. And to be honest with you, we haven't been in that position almost ever. At the time it stunk, but it doesn't cloud my memories. It's the reason that you play the game, and you know, thinking that you're going to win 4 national championships is probably unrealistic.
Whoever doesn't shoot it too bad from beyond the arc, but I don't think that's the first option.
The Sioux would go on to host the Elite Eight at Hislop and win the national title over Southern Indiana 94-78.
Winning that national championship on our home floor in front of all of our fans. The players before us had waited how long to get one of those, and to be able to do that, I mean, it was just unbelievably amazing.
NDSU was such a huge, huge hurdle to get over, and then to do that, and then listen to people throughout the Elite Eight just saying, you know, still saying we weren't good enough. You know, you start to take that personal, and it was good to have them come to our house and be like, we are good enough.
I remember thinking when Sherry graduated, like, oh yes, Sherry's gone, and then when we played UND the first time, I'm like, who's this?
The who's this was Jenny Krause from Illinois. The 6'3" post player was a vital key in shifting basketball fortunes from NDSU to UND in the late 90s. Her low post presence neutralized NDSU's inside game and allowed the Pudence sisters open shots from long range if teams packed it in on Jenny.
The Sioux on offense, the Bison in a man-to-man defense. Krause inside, off the glass, count it.
The 1998 team might have been a little more solid depth-wise and everything. Jamie Pudence was at the point. We had Tiffany Pudence, and we had Katie at the 4 spot, Katie Richards, and Jenny Krause, who was an All-American that year.
By 1998, the Sioux, with their stars now a year older, had become the dominant team. The Bison, without their graduated superstar Morlock, suffered an 85-59 drubbing to UND that year, and the Sioux were never challenged en route to a 92-76 win in the national title game over Emporia State.
We had everything in place. We had, you know, the posts and the perimeter, and so everything was kind of clicking. We had that year of experience. You know, it just fed off the next year where we could make everything happen.
The third one was heartbreaking because it's your last year, it's your last game, but it was a bit of relief that we ended on top too.
There were many keys to UND's 3 straight national titles, not the least of which was Coach Roebuck's coup of recruiting the Pudence sisters, Tiffany and Jamie.
My freshman, sophomore year were okay years, but my junior and senior years, you could see that I even improved just because of Jamie there and us two playing in the front court. I think we just read each other very well.
Good solid man-to-man defense by the Bison, and Amundsen blocked out well to get the rebound. Burns finds Jane even inside off the glass.
The glorious national run of women's basketball at UND and NDSU would end with the Bison and Jane Even losing the 2000 national title game to Northern Kentucky in overtime.
A bomb from Hoffner.
UND would make another title game appearance in 2001, led by Jenny Bull and Tanya Jones. But they would falter late and lose to Cal Poly Pomona in overtime, 87-80. That means in an 11-year span from 1991 to 2001, NDSU and UND would win 8 national titles and come in second 3 other times. It's a legacy not only unprecedented, but one that has shaped the lives of the women who battled each other on the court.
I don't know if you'll ever be able to do that in such a close proximity of schools and really feeding off of the same recruiting base to be able to do what was done by, Coach Roebuck and Coach Rulli in those times.
Everybody should have goals, and when a person actually meets those goals, it's a confidence booster, because whatever you did individually or as a team worked. It basically means that you're okay at something, and if you work hard enough, and if a person works hard enough and does the right things, good things are going to happen.
It's taught me a lot about life. It's just something that I think about whether I'm raising children or working on the farm and just doing things well.
To have that ability that you were on a winning squad, to have the coaches you had, the players that you had with you, and to have that championship behind you, you understand what work ethic means.
I know that I can do whatever I want to, because I've already done it once. I know I can set a goal that for some people would be like, there's just no way. Well, for me, there's a way. And I might not reach it, but I'll certainly get higher than a lot of other people, because I know it's possible.
In my life, with some of my health things, I guess you learn that, things aren't given to you and you just have to keep on fighting. And that's the same thing with basketball, is that you're as good as you want to make yourself.
Funding for this program is made possible by the members of Prairie Public. To see more from the NDSU and UND women's basketball dynasty years, and to see the history of the football rivalry as well, order a DVD by calling 1-800-359-6900 or visit our website at prairiepublic.org.